Test. Test.
Candidate for chair.
Welcome to the June 13th meeting of the Rotary Club of Ames. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for individuals or families we would like to keep in our thoughts. Glenn brought to my attention that Sarah Buck should be kept in our thoughts and her family as well. So is there anyone else in our Rotary family? One quick moment here. Thank you. You can be seated. Okay, Jim Patton has a guest today.
I not only have a guest, but I have a couple joys to share with you. First of all, this is my wife, Diane. Today is the first day of our granddaughter's job here at Iowa State at the University Museums. And secondly, this week is my anniversary, 54 years. Thank you.
Happy anniversary. And Dave Millard is a guest of the club. Dave, if you want to give a wave. Thanks for coming.
Well, we certainly welcome those guests, but also our special guests today who've come a long way. And we're very glad that you're here with us. And we open each meeting with a welcome song that was written many years ago and the club sings together. So please know this is for you. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Naveda, London, or Gay Paris, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be. Welcome at Rotary.
And I believe Beth has a few things to say about the blast back to school.
I'm Beth Luke. I work with Friendship Arc, and one of the things that we are helping is be a part of the committee for the Blast Back to School. And I've put some flyers in the back, and this is just for people that don't know about this program. It's just a way to relieve the financial burden that sometimes buying back to school supplies can have on families. Last year, we served over 1,300 individuals, and this year we expect the need to be even greater. So if you could take a look at this flyer, I'll be collecting school supplies. I think we're going to be for the month. If you bring them here, I will take them and get them to our storage unit. Otherwise, I know the Ames Public Library is going to be doing a drop-off box. The Downtown Fairway will be a drop-off location, and Story Kenworthy will also be a drop-off location. If you choose to donate monetarily, we also have a way to donate online, or if you write a check, you'd write it to the United Way. They're our fiscal agent, and just put Blast Back to School in the memo line. Thank you.
Erin is reminding us of a couple live and in-person ISU Alumni Center Rotary meetings, June 20th and June 27th. June 20th is State Secretary of Agriculture. And the June 27th is the community grant presentations. And my last day as president. Kent, where are you? You're taking over. At this time, I would like to introduce Glenn to the stage, and he can take over and introduce some special guests we have today.
Afternoon. We always like to open our meetings with Steve Jones dancing. It's kind of a nice way to get things going. I gotta talk louder. Okay. But anyway, we like to have Steve Jones do his little dance for us, so you can see that we're not all that serious at times, but we do keep things moving. Let's see here. We do have slides, they really do. We've been working on them for a long time, like years. Anyway, I'm going to lead off today and I'm going to talk about our projects a little bit that we have going on. Right now, the big projects, water as always, but milk processing plant, we are well into it and hopefully we can get things going real soon as far as getting the grant submitted. I am waiting on some paperwork from the folks in the milk processing committee, and hopefully they'll be getting that to me soon. See if this works. This is kind of what the milk processing plant looks like when you break down the budget a little bit. So we've been working with this budget with the milk processing committee in Shigatini for several years. And everybody agrees that this is what it's going to take to make this work. The next thing, move too much. This is kind of a breakdown of how the funding is going to work and how it has added up to. Because out of that $100,000, we're sitting at $96,000 right now today. And there's 6 Rotary clubs have donated and 20 individual Rotarians have invested in this project, along with 3 Rotary districts with their DDF, and then the Rotary International Foundation with their matching program. But what it doesn't show is 2 other major contributors, non-Rotary funds with Bethesda Lutheran Church here in town and Empower Tanzania and NGO out of Central Iowa too has invested in this. So that's where that is at this time. And then I want to introduce a very special guest we have here today. Kimambi Kajiru is here from SAME, our partner club in all our water projects. You can see by the screen that he has been very active in Rotary for quite a while. He's one of the founding members, or how do they put that? But anyway, one of the founding members of the Rotary Club of SAME, the first president of the club, and just this last year, the president again. But in the meantime, he's worked with all the water projects that we have put there, and that'll be 4 of them, and they're all essentially complete. We're waiting for the government to decide when the turnover date will be so they can have the big ceremony for the last one. But anyway, that's where that one is going, and come on up and take over.
Good afternoon. One of the things which is not there is that I'm married. It's not written there. I'm married with 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, and 5 grandchildren, 2 boys and 3 girls. I want to take you through what we have been doing for the past almost 12 to 15 years. We have done 4 projects. Igogo, 2014 to 2015, worth $250,000. And then project 2 is 2016 to 2017, worth $249,000. Project 3 is Mwezi 1, 2018 to 2019, worth $290,000. And then project 4 is Mwezi 2, 2020 to 2021. This project, we just completed it a month ago. The community is using the water, but we have not officially handed it over to the community. And many people would have questions here. We used to hand over the projects to the community. The 3 projects earlier were handed over to the community. Now the government has changed the policy. We are not again handing over them to the community. We are handing them over to a government institution, is Rural Water and Sanitation entity, and Same district has 24 EV or wards. Those are government led entities, and in these wards, Muhezi is 1 ward, Mwembe is 1 ward, and Vude is another ward. So they have formed an entity there which manages the water system. So we will hand over Mwezi 2 and Mwezi 1 to this entity, and this entity is led by a qualified water engineer, and then they have technicians. They have employed the technicians who will look into it that the repairs, reading the meters will be done well. And they will look into the sustainability of the project. So we think by handing over to this entity, the projects will be sustainable, because earlier, if anything happened, they would have to walk to the district office for help. But at this time, the help is there, and they're the ones who manages these projects. So we don't have a worry anymore. The projects will be sustainable. And in making these projects sustainable, we had to do these things: community assessment to establish water needs assessment done before grant is approved, baseline survey at completion of the project, and then there will be coming impact assessment at 18 months, and then 3 years. And our partners are the host club of Same. District is not, District 214. And then international sponsors are you, Rotary Club of Ames, and District 6000 and Rotary Foundation. But we have another very important co-worker or a person who we have been working with him to make these projects attainable. That is the community. If it were not the community, we would not have done that. So we appreciate the work of the community. And some of you may have seen maybe what we have been doing at Mwezi 2. People are breaking rocks by their hands to make trenches so that the pipes can be laid. If it were not them, we would not have done that. Well, in the past projects, two of them, Kigogo and Masandare, we did well drilling. And Mwezi 1 and Mwezi 2, this is gravity water system. We tap water from the springs, and that water, even in the borehole drilled, we bring water from the source. Before it goes to the tank, it is filtered, it is being chlorinated, it goes to the tank. When it goes to the community, is clean and safe water. So you can see the source, tanks, and that is the filtration house. And those names there are those who have contributed towards the implementation of the project. And now we go to the impact. What have we achieved after doing these projects? One is women empowerment. You see, earlier, women used to wake up early in the morning, maybe 3:10, to go out to look for water, leaving their husbands and children sleeping. And when they come, it's late noon. So maybe there's no lunch. They will take lunch, or they will take only the evening meal. So more family time now is being used on economic activities. That time wasted to look for water is now being used for economic activities, maybe making small gardens, or doing, for example, in Masandare and Kigogo, these women now, they take time, they are cattle headers. They take time to sell their milk efficiently. Not before like that, they have done that. So new economic opportunities. Some ladies go around now with their push carts selling water. They earn income and engage in participation in productive activities like garden, farming, livestock, and business. And they have improved their hygiene and sanitation because now they can shower frequently. Earlier, they wouldn't shower, maybe once per week. So they can shower easily. And they have toilets in schools. And so these girls are now making their own hygiene better. And if you go around, you can see the houses with the flowers and vegetables and alike. On education, these young boys and girls, for example, the girls were helping their mothers to get water. So they wouldn't go to school frequently at times. And the boys were going out to head cattle to look for drinking water for the animals, and they would be there almost for a day. So attendance in school was poor. So favorable learning environment, toilets, wash stations, like here, these wash stations in schools where each time they are washing their hands and they get water nearer. So in schools, there are gardens, they can get the afternoon meal or their noon meal in time. And school attendance for girls is up because they are no longer helping their moms to go to look for water. And more boys in school because they are not heading cattle anymore. And for example, in Masandare and Kigogo, there are cattle troughs. So the animals are going nearby to drink water. They are not going far away. And so in school, they have improved their performance. Boys and girls have improved their performance. So in education, by bringing water nearer to this community, we have helped the kids to perform well in school. And most of them, nowadays, they pass their, primary education and join secondary education. That is, in Tanzania is grade 7, then they pass the education to go, say to graduate, but again, we call them Form 1. Peace and harmony in families. In earlier, the government would set prices one can pay to have water. Now, this community sit together, decide what the price would be. I don't know what I can say, but in Tanzania, we have 20 liters. I don't know what's that here. 5 gallons? 20, okay, 5 gallons. Before that, we would sell at 100 shillings, but now, Masandare and Kigogo, it is sold at 50, and up on the mountains, Mwezi 1 and Mwezi 2, it is sold at 25. So, but these prices are discussed and agreed by the community. And then, as I said earlier, these guys or moms who are going out very early in the morning and coming late, and the husband at home would think his wife has gone somewhere else with somebody. Maybe Kajiru has gone out with the wife, and she's not out to get water. So always there were quarrels. But nowadays, there is harmony in the houses. There is peace in the houses. And yeah, less time wasted on water access and instant meal. They are not wasting their time anymore. They can do something else, and they get their meals in time. And the community is brought together. Look, these guys are digging trench. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your religion. You have to go and do that work. And if you are doing that work, then you have a common bond. We have a common bond that we have done this ourselves. So this is ours. And this will lead to sustainability. Community health. If you go to a health center right now, there are much, much lesser waterborne diseases. For example, diarrhea, typhoid, and any other disease which could be brought by having contaminated water. So the diarrhea, typhoid in health centers, Masandare, Kigogo, Muhezi, has decreased tremendously. And there are gardens at home. Guys, earlier they wouldn't plant anything outside their houses, but now they have gardens where they can get vegetables, and some of them now are having fruit trees. So at a later stage or at a later date, they will eat fruits from their own gardens. That reminds me, I have garden in my house, and I had almost 10 mango trees, and they were all flowering. I had oranges, about 12. I had banana trees. I had papaya trees. All the trees, I left them in good health condition. They are all down and like this because of the elephants. They came into my home one night and it's all done. And personal hygiene, girls and boys and men and women now, they are clean. And the girls at the schools, they have time to go to school. They have time to stay in school because earlier, when they were in their menstrual periods, they wouldn't stay in school. They would have to stay at home. But now they are staying at school because there is water which they can clean themselves. And then better toilets have been constructed. And wash stations. So community health has been improved. And then economic and community development. New homes have been constructed. There is a strip at Masandare, the second project. When first we went there, looking for a tank, site for the tank, there were almost 3 small houses. Putting the tank and knowing that we have already drilled a borehole and got enough water, before we finished the project, the whole strip had new houses. And in Same Town is not a good place to live because there is no water 24 hours. But this place has water 24 hours. So people have moved from town to that place. And it has created jobs that people are making burnt brick and sell. And we are nurturing entrepreneurship because people are thinking, if I do this, I'll get this. If I do this, I'll get this. So they are thinking of getting themselves better than before. And as I said, concrete blocks is a business. Horticulture is a business. And you see, in Tanzania, in small towns, we don't have stone crushers as you do have here. When we want to build houses, we have to crush the stones by our own hands, hammer up to get these gravels which you can use to build the houses. So these people in these places are crushing stones so that they could build better houses. Environmental impact, many trees have been planted for shades and for fruits, if ever the elephants want to walk over. And we're controlling soil erosion and we are managing our water. They are not using water, more water than what they need. And we have flowers and gardens. Before I'm done, I would call you please to stand up if I don't bother you. To stand up if I don't, you all to stand up if I don't bother you. Please stand up. Maybe Gerald is exempted. Just look to your friend and hold his hand or her hand. Look to your friend, hold her hand, and say this. It's you and me who have done it. It's you and me who have done it. And let's applaud ourselves. Thank you, and you can get seated. Dave is coming for what next?
Just a couple of minutes to let you know, since we've completed those 4 projects, what the heck we've got in mind to do next. The local club headed by Mr. Kajiru went out and did another needs assessment last fall. And then checked up 10 different communities and actually picked 3 of them. Originally, we were going to do all 3 at once until, as you see in this slide, that the local WaSH engineer came back after they were so gracious to go do the data collection, design, and cost estimate for a full project, that the cost just for the water portion of the project for those 3 villages was $1.2 million. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, was $1.2 million just for the water portion, and we obviously thought that it would take us a long time to raise $1.2 million, and those guys probably didn't want to wait that long. So one of our partners was there in March and talked to everybody, and they decided if Rotary could do something in the neighborhood of $400,000, that WaSH in their new government agency budget would support the rest of the water project in their 2023 and 2024 budget, which was a major deal. We appreciate that and know that they have the skills and talent to do that, and hopefully they can get that approved in their 2023 budget. In addition to that, as shown in that slide, we have teamed with another group of global grant persons in Oregon in District 5100, led by Stu Martin, who happened to be the gentleman that did the original lead part in the original needs assessment in Same, and has been involved with them ever since. So what we've planned to do now is that our Ames Rotary Club Global Grant team will be in charge of this initial water project, which is, I've currently come up with an estimate of $452,000 for that. That will serve 2/3 of the village that's at the top of the hill closest to the spring source. We'll develop the spring, connect it to a big storage tank, and pipe and distribute water to 2/3 of that village. The government agency will do the rest, the other third, and the other village of Voudet. And Stu Martin's team in Oregon will do the sanitation and hygiene training portion of the project as a separate global grant. We talked to the Rotary Foundation. We originally wanted to enter this as joint international partners. They wouldn't let us do that. So, as we are prone to do, we'll circumvent the system and figure out a way to do it anyway. What we are going to do is write 2 applications for 2 separate global grants, but there's a lot of the material in those applications that will be identical. And Rotary will be aware that we're doing this together. The only thing that will be different in those grant applications will be the budget, identifies exactly what we're doing, and the funding sources. So we hope to get that going. We're just started on the fundraising, and the application will be filed as soon as we figure out a way to raise $452,000. And might mention at our table this noon, Park asked me, he says, so what happens? How do local individual Rotarians participate in this? I said, it's really simple. All they have to do is write a check to our Rotary Club of Ames Foundation and they're in. Some of you have already done that and we appreciate that. And the club has been very, very supportive over the past and will continue to be, I hope. We also have a large number of partners. Our last job, I think Glenn can correct me on this. I think we had over 20 clubs and 8 districts involved in the Mahasi 2 project. We hope most of those people will continue, and we've got line on some additional ones. So with that in mind, I think I will pause. If there's any time left, I'm sure we would entertain questions, and Kajiru would be happy to answer them. Oh, there we go. Louis. Repeat, Louis wanted to know about climate change impact on the spring source. I think Mr. Kajiru can say they've been in a drought for 5 years, so that is a concern. This particular spring is pretty productive. But I mentioned we did it initially, we're going to serve 3 villages, and in the process of developing this design that the engineer decided that there wasn't enough water in that spring to serve the 3rd village, so it's down to 2. Now that is kind of subjective and that could change when we get into actual implementation, but the 3rd village is at the bottom of the hill and may be better served by a well anyway, so we'll worry about that when we get there.
I just add to that the mountain springs that they're talking about are fed by a high mountain lake that's even higher up in altitude. And it does get a lot of rain up there. But like I said, they've been in a drought for the last few years, but everything is still green way up there. So it's really subjective about how to answer a question like that. So the other thing is, how many of you thought you were going to hear a good elephant story today?
Hi, Jumbo, Kajiru, good to see you again since Tanzania. I had a question. You were discussing the school system, and I know in the North Pare, the diocese schools have pretty much diminished. For example, Maruma, Shigatini, I believe Usangi still has about 70 students. What's happened in the South Pare? Are those diocese schools pretty much no longer functioning because of the free education offered by the government schools?
It's not different. They are all, okay, let me put it this way. It's not the church schools only. Of recent, when the government decided to have these government secondary schools, and all the students or children are going to the government secondary schools, even other private secondary schools, the attendance has diminished so much that some are closing. But I think that is a temporary measure, because somewhere down the road, these private secondary schools will have to come back, because the government secondary schools don't have enough teachers to give the right education which these children need. So you see, I would say it was just a mid-move somewhere. And even the universities, private universities, for the past 7 years, they had a very, very tough time. And some of them have been closed. But as of September this year, some of them will be reopened, because the current leadership has decided that each student decides where he or she has to take higher education, and not necessarily in the government.
Asante-san.
Just to add to that quick, that there is a serious shortage of teachers too.
Anything else? I would point out that we've left a few cards and an outline of the future project on the tables. I only put 2 or 3 on each table. But if anybody wants another one, I've got some more in my briefcase here that you can review and look at. And we appreciate the opportunity to make the presentation. And I think, this club should be very proud of what we have done over the last several years. It's been recognized at high levels of Rotary International as one of their prize projects to talk about. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. And I'll say, when we will be starting our next projects, please come down and see by your own eyes. You will be impressed, and you will come and say, hey, my donation did something. Thank you.
All through the presentation on those impact slides, you saw several bullet points. Every one of those bullet points has several stories associated with them. One of the things our Global Grant Committee would like is to find somebody that wants to sit down and write those stories for us. So anybody that's interested in doing something like that, please contact us or just come and join us. And that goes for our regular Global Grants meeting too. If you just want to be a part of it, come on down and we will welcome you with open arms. Anyway, with that, thank you very much, and get your checkbook greased up. We're going to need it.
Thank you very much. That was an honor to have you guys here and talk about your project. So we really appreciate it. We appreciate you guys putting that together for us. So thank you. Our Rotary Club is the lead sponsor for Raising Readers. And before you leave, we want you all to autograph a book, and this will be given to a 2-year-old at their Well Baby check. So thank you. Let's stand for the 4-way test. Things we think, say, or do. First, true. Turned. One more, Kent. Just one more.